continues at 13 minutes after 11 o'clock. Live visuals from inside the Pietermaritzburg High Court. There you see the former President Jacob Zuma in the dock. In the box, another adjournment. 17 years later, this trial has been ongoing. There is another adjournment. It will now be a case of hearing the formal plea, which will be entered on the 26th of May. We've just seen moments ago Judge Pitt Kun handing down this adjournment in order for a couple of plea issues to be dealt with. Let's go to Tula Sizwe Simelani, who is outside the court for us. He has been the entire day. Tula Sizwe, hello to you. I think there was a reasonable expectation, if I can use that term, that there was going to be another postponement due to a procedural issue, and here we are dealing with this issue of a plea.
Not only that, Gareth, we now can confirm that it is as we had expected, that the issue that would possibly lead to a postponement would have to do with the prosecutor on behalf of the State Advocate Billy Downer SC. And we know that because the section that has been referred to in the brief proceedings by Judge Kun, as well as Billy Downer himself and the other role players, Advocate Thabani Masuku, is a section of the Criminal Procedure Act which has to do with pleas that an accused person may enter. It's a bit of a technicality. It's part of that area of law that governs how exactly a person is taken through the court system. So when you are accused of committing a crime, that's the substantive law. That's the law that defines what the crime is, you know, who is guilty of an offense. Then you have this area of law known as criminal procedure law, which basically says how exactly then do you hold someone accountable if they've broken a substantive law, if they've broken the laws that you have defined. So that's how we know that this particular situation that's led to the postponement has to do with section 106.1.H of the Criminal Procedure Act. And I won't even try to explain how that works. I'll let someone who does this for a living do the talking and explaining. Melusi Kulu from Donda Attorneys joining us to unpack all of it. So it really was procedural. Technical for many of us who are not in court every day. 106 subsection 1 subsection H. What on earth is going on there? What's that about?
Okay. So although we don't know the issues, the reasons why they're raising it, but they are saying they are raising this section to say the prosecutor, which is Advocate Billy Downer, has no title to prosecute in this particular matter. Now, what I've done, I've also checked the section that I think they might raise in the National Prosecuting Act, which is section 38, which says the National Director, in consultation with the Minister of Justice, of course, must consult with them so that they can get someone to act on their behalf who will get permission to be able to work on the case. They will have an agreement, and then that will be an agreement that he will prosecute. That is how he will get that title to prosecute.
So that's if they are successful,
yes.
They being the defense, Mr. Zuma's defense, if they are successful in getting the prosecutor to be recused,
yes.
then section 38 would come into play.
Yes.
But what do the words that I see here in this section, that an accused may plea that, quote, the prosecutor has no title to prosecute? What does that mean?
It means he doesn't have, it's not that he doesn't have the qualifications. Let us make that clear. It's that for him to work in this case, there were no arrangements or agreements made with the Minister of Justice and the National Director of Prosecutions. So there has to be that specific arrangement. That is, if you are not working with NPA as a prosecutor or a state advocate. So there has to be that agreement. They might say, I assume, that he doesn't. There's no such agreement in place for him to be able to prosecute in the matter.
I see. So
which is a title, but not to say he's not qualified. Let's make that clear. All
right. And of course, in terms of this section that we are talking about, the fact that, if I read the section correctly, the fact that he intends to plead that the prosecutor has no title to prosecute suggests that he's going to enter at least 2 pleas. The other one has to do with guilty or not guilty, and that's been pushed back to the 26th. That in a way tells you which direction he's going to plead. He's not going to plead not guilty, is he?
I believe he's going to plead not guilty.
Sorry, yes. He's not going to plead guilty,
because,
is what I meant to say.
If you look at the section, the very section that you're talking about, it firstly says an accused can plead guilty and he can plead not guilty. So he'll plead not guilty. But first they'll have to deal with the first section that we mentioned, that he's saying the prosecutor has no title to prosecute.
All right, hold on a second. Let's